I'm sober enough to realize that this does not bode well for me. That this does not bode well. When your best friend is a rave drug addict, swearing eternal loyalty, you've got problems. You've got problems. So, and going through a really dark path in your life where you say, gee, how did I end up here? And you know the answer. The answer was really simple. I thought money was the answer to everything. I thought that if you had enough gold, you would have no problems. And, the universe was kind enough to take me to a place where I could meet people who, they don't have AIG bonus billions. They don't have all the money that Hank Paulson stole, but they have plenty of money, enough that if it was going to give them security, they should have felt secure. And what I saw was, that they just had a whole new set of problems, and one of the biggest problems they had was that nobody was really honest with them. That everyone was so busy blowing smoke up their keister that they couldn't get any honest feedback. When you can't get any honest feedback, then you've really got a problem because you're not going to tell yourself the truth. And that's just not in the nature of human beings. We need other people to tell us the unpleasant truths about ourselves. And as it happened, nature came and, the world came and it told me. And, a guy for whom I absolutely clearly expressed no liking whatsoever, Richard Idell, in the book, whom he was my nemesis. He created great problems for me. But in the end, there were still things that I would say, well, you know what? He saw more clearly than I did at important times in my own drama. If I'd seen exactly what he'd seen, I could have avoided all kinds of problems. He wasn't wrong.
Where's Stephen Michael Cohen today?
The best of my knowledge, the last email I got from Steve, and it's very pleasant. He's always very pleasant. He said he was in Mazatlan, but that he still owned his place in San Miguel Allende down the street from President Fox. So I absolutely do not know if anything Stephen has ever told me was true. It's impossible to tell. There was a long period of time where he told me that he was running a whole network of casinos, and I don't know if he was pretending or if it was real, but he would stop and he would say, I got to take this call, and then he would say something presumably into another phone like, okay, well, yeah, you can give him another 100,000, but no more than that. Like he was running a casino. It was just funny, and I didn't know if it was true or if it wasn't. It's impossible to know. Steve is that way, but I will say that I've learned a tremendous lot from Steve Cohen, stuff that you could never learn from anyone else, a person who he sees clearly in the sense that he knows that there's a tremendous amount of stuff that's going on in life, people who are carrying on with supposedly legitimate activities who are not at all. And he knows he can call a bluff like nobody. He definitely screwed up when he thought that Gary was bluffing, because Gary had the ability to go all in. Like, I've never seen anybody do that, and that is where hats off to Gary. I mean, there's a guy who can push the whole pile forward on the table and let it ride. And he definitely did it, and that's the way he won. And that, that was what made him fun as a client. Was not too many people who do that.
Did Gary recover any money from Cohen aside from the house that he got back?
Not to my knowledge. And that was sort of that was sort of where I like to be idealistic, but it does stop at spending money doing useless stuff. And I really did feel that pursuing offshore millions, like I said in the book, I just never had, in all of my career, I mean, there's a couple of things I've never seen in my career. I have never had somebody come up to me and say, I got a great libel verdict. I haven't seen that. I just have never, ever seen that. And I have never had anybody come up to me and say, I'm rich, man. I got my recover from the bank in Liechtenstein, you know, or I found the accounts in the Isle of Man, and man, they're stuffed, and it's all coming my way. I've never heard that. It doesn't happen. These offshore scams really, really work. I mean, look, right now, the United States government is arm wrestling with UBS in Switzerland and arm wrestling with the Swiss government. This stuff is not easy to get. And so while I'm really not privy to what happened there, certainly I can tell you that Steve Cohen sat in prison for, 16 or 18 months. And there is a man who, I don't know what you can say about him, but he had the keys. Like they say, the person who is in prison for contempt always has the keys to the jail cell, because all they have to do is say, I'm ready to talk. And he never, not once, said, I'm ready to talk. So I know Gary didn't find any money that way. And that, you know, how many people have done that? How many people have managed to jail their adversary for well over a year and then had the incredible frustration of having that person sit there and just say, you know, well, screw you. I'm not talking. I'm not talking. That's one tough dude. That is one tough dude.
Do you believe that money dishonorably earned carries a form of contagion that affects all those who get it?
Well, you know, I think I do. I think I do, and yet I think all money, to some degree, has that quality. You know, if you really want to know my real theory about money, it's that as soon as it becomes an independent phenomenon, which is separated from its original purpose, which is to serve as a medium of exchange, so that people can say that there's an equal point, a fulcrum in our dealings with each other, where I can compare my labor with yours and we can make an exchange. When it goes beyond that and it assumes this gigantic, gargantuan characteristic of being capital, and people really believe in their minds, I have a stack of cash, it should earn money for me while I sit on my ass. At that point, I think that the evil has been born. And that drives, basically you have this huge laziness factor where people are literally saying, I should be able to sit on my ass and watch my money work for me. That's supposedly the American dream. Well, if that's the American dream, we have a serious problem, because I heard that the American dream was that people were rewarded for their productivity, not for their good fortune in having a stack of capital. But to address more directly what you asked, which is whether money that is ill-gotten paints the recipients, I think that the evil intention and the evil act of injuring other people and the planet in order to get wealth definitely carries consequences. Whether it goes with a particular stream of dollars, I'm not sure, but I do know that when I felt the $45,000 a month that I was getting from Sex.com, and I met the people who were generating it, I managed to end that flow pretty effectively, pretty quickly.
You didn't mention in the book that Bob Dorban, Stephen Michael Cohen's attorney, isn't he blind?
No, it's not Bob Dorban who is blind. It is his former partner, Duboff.
Okay.
Yeah, Duboff, and I don't mention the occasion in which I did meet Duboff, but I did meet Duboff, and Duboff is a scary character. He has one plastic hand, and I think he has one eye, which is glass and stares off in one direction, and another eye that is like dark, and he is a strange man. They talk about somebody who emanates a weird vibe. But
I think he was the one who sued me on Stephen Michael. Did he work for Cohen at all, Duboff?
Oh, yeah, Duboff worked for Cohen. Duboff is the one who laundered all